Hey guys, it's the Brownbag talking sports here again to talk about the NBA Finals. This time I'll be talking about the final two games. So without further ado, let's begin on my thoughts on Game 5. The main problem for the Raptors this game was finding any offensive consistency. The defense, as usual, was pretty solid. There was a point where the Raptors gave up 9 unanswered points later in the fourth quarter, but they never let Golden State go beyond striking distance. The Raptors always had a chance to win the game. I mean, just look at the score. They ended up losing by 1. So, as far as the defense goes, there's really no complaints I have there, but the offense was just had an empty feeling the whole game. Now, I will give credit to the Warriors on this. Their defense tightened up. The Warriors' defense did a great job. They didn't let Kawhi get off for any big or huge numbers. And they did a overall great job defending the perimeter. Golden State didn't play a perfect game, but they did what they had to win. But to focus on Toronto more, the Golden State Warriors play good defense, but there were a few times where the Raptors could have got a good shot. Like there were a few times that Siakam was wide open and he just couldn't knock down the corner three. I'm sure there were other people that were missing too, but when it comes to missing open shots, Siakam's the main one who sticks out in my mind. Kawhi, uh, later down the stretch, he was getting on fire, and he finished with with an overall decent stat line. Um, he didn't put up an overall poor performance, but there wasn't really any domination from him. It was just a problem with the offense overall. I mean, they just lacked any type of flow. And when they finally did start to get a flow, Nick Nurse called a timeout. Um, Now, I don't have as much of a problem as most people do with this timeout. Some people say that it lost the game for the Raptors, which to an extent I can agree with, but the Raptors had a final possession at the end, and the Warriors' defense just tightened up near the end, so they could have made the game winning shot, but they didn't. So, Nick Nurse obviously deserves part of the blame for this. But I don't think that he's the overall reason why they lost. Um, to go into the timeout a bit more in depth and why I disagree with it, Golden State had one timeout and Toronto had an offensive possession. I feel like Nick Nurse should have just let the players play through that because if the Raptors make a shot on that possession, that forces Steve Kerr to use his final timeout. And I don't even think it hit the minute mark yet. Yeah, it wasn't even a minute. So that would have forced him to run out of timeouts with over a lot over a minute left in the game. But Nick Nurse called the timeout, and that gave the Golden State Warriors some time to recoup and get their heads together. Now, I get his reasoning behind why he called the timeout. He said that he wanted to make the most of the offense possession they had because they had the lead. That was like the first time in the game they had the lead since like the first quarter. They were trailing practically the whole game. So, yeah, he was probably trying to draw up a play and just trying to make sure his players were rested before the possession was finally out. But I feel like he should have pressured Steve Kerr to use his final timeout and let the players play through that. Again, I don't think that the whole game was lost because of that one timeout. I do think that they lost some offensive rhythm. I think they lost some offensive flow from that, but the Raptors had shots to win this game. There's really no excuses for that. And even coming out of the timeout, Kawhi kind of forced up a mid-range shot that didn't go in, and that's when the Warriors got some life. That's when they finally caught some momentum for their offense. But the Warriors went on they went on a 9-0 run, and I think it was Clay that hit it first, then it was Curry, and then it was Clay again. That really threw the Raptors off. They were able to get a point off of a defensive goaltend by Golden State, and that's how they cut it down to one. And they even got the final possession, like I said before. Kawhi took it up. He dribbled down to about the foul line. He got double teamed, so he passed it off to another Raptor. I think it was Van Vliet. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, the other Raptor passed it to Lowry in the corner, and Lowry. It looked as at first like Lowry threw up some half-baked attempt, like he threw up some lazy ball because it went completely behind the backboard, behind the rim, behind everything. It looked really embarrassing for Lowry, but it was later revealed that Draymond went out there, and when he contested the shot, he got a finger on it, and that's how it went outside behind the backboard. So, yeah, it wasn't completely Kyle Lowry's fault, but once again, Golden State, you have to respect the defense they played that night because, I mean, there were a lot of factors that went into that to winning that game for Golden State. I'll get into KD in just a bit, but that defense was a big part. Uh, sure, the Raptors had some open opportunities to get an open shot and they just blew it, but there were points in this game where Golden State, you just couldn't deny it. The defense was strong with them, and the defense was just, you just have to respect it. To talk about KD a bit, because this was a big thing that happened in Game 5 too. KD was cleared to play for Game 5. This was his first time on a basketball court, like playing a game in like a month because he was out for the entire Portland series. He was out before Game 6 of the Houston series. He was out for a while. But he came back and the Warriors cleared him. And for the time he was in there, he dominated. I mean, he was perfect from the 3-point line. And he finished the game with 11 points in 12 minutes. But unfortunately, he got injured. It was later revealed that he had torn his ACL. I feel like he was doing fine until he kind of tried to do a little dribble move on his defender. That's when he got injured again. And it was just really sad to see. Like, I don't really like KD. I mean, he's part of the reason that the NBA has been so boring for the past 2 years. But I mean, when something like this happens, it doesn't matter if you like the guy or not. I mean, unless the guy was just a complete piece of crap, he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve his career potentially being worsened. I mean, an ACL tear is a very serious injury, and most NBA players aren't the same after something like this. But I hope that I hope that he can beat the odds. I hope he can beat the odds. Uh, the media and just lots of people in general who pay attention to the NBA, they always try to play the blame game. They always want to point fingers at people. Some people say that the Warriors pressured him to come back because they were down 3-1 heading into Toronto. Some people said that they put him on the court too early. They put him on the court too soon. Um, and while I agree with the latter point, I believe that he also pushed himself too. I don't think that anyone pressured him into doing anything. I mean, first of all, I'm not in the Warriors locker room, so I don't know what's going on, but he's an athlete. He's an NBA player. He devotes his life to basketball, so if anybody pushed him, it was himself. And a lot of people are probably upset at KD. A lot of people blame him for going out there too soon because they think that you shouldn't try and worsen yourself for a momentary accomplishment. And while I definitely agree with that, I also have to say this. The Warriors won because of his contribution. Not to say that there wasn't any other factors. Like I said, the defense they played was outstanding. But I mean the Warriors won by 1 point. If KD stays out, I don't think the Warriors really put up much of a fight. I feel like KD brought an energy to the team, and I feel like him going out there really motivated them to keep on fighting. I feel like seeing one of your best players get up off of an injury and potentially hurt himself again just to help you guys win this one game, I feel like that puts some confidence in you. So, even if I don't really like KD, even if you don't really like KD, I mean, you still have to respect him for this. Maybe it was a bit premature. Maybe he should have stayed out, but at that same time, I have to say that I understand where KD's coming from, and I have to respect him for giving his team a fighting chance. And I think you should too. But that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on Game 5. So, going into Game 6, I was really pleased with the Raptors' offensive energy. We all know they can play defense, but their offense, especially in Game 5, was really shoddy, to say the least. So, when Kyle Lowry lit up the first half with 21 points, um, yeah, I have to say, I was impressed by by the Raptors. I mean, Lowry Lowry was clearly motivated by that Draymond Green block. A lot of people were probably clowning him on Twitter because they didn't get the full story. And when you look live on television and you see it, it looked like Lowry just threw up a bad shot. So everybody was talking about choking Lowry, like not choking Lowry, but Lowry being a choker and him basically failing in a big moment. So he went out in Game 6 and he proved them wrong. For the second half, he was pretty much quiet, but considering that this team lacked so much offensive energy in Game 5, I really appreciate him just completely taking over and being a leader for this team, stepping up in the big moment. Um, the Raptors, they had a confidence on their offensive side. The Warriors, though, they were they weren't dominant in the sense that they went on like these big runs because Toronto's defense is just not going to let you do that. Um, but they did a really good job maintaining their lead. They did a really good job maintaining their lead all up until Clay got injured. When he went to go for a layup off of a fast break, Danny Green fouled him, and on the way down, Clay landed kind of weird. So, um, yeah, it looked really brutal watching it in slow motion because I can't really describe it. It just looked so disgusting. I mean, obviously Danny Green didn't really mean to hurt him. how Clay got injured was based on him landing down, but yeah, it was still gruesome to see. Uh, it was great to see him come back and take his free throws because if he didn't shoot his free throws, he wasn't eligible to come back in the game. But yeah, he after he shot those free throws, he never came back. And the only time when he came back, not on the court but to watch, was when he came out with a cast on. So that was really bad to see because Clay had a really good he had a really good first half, and it was like sometime in the third when he got injured. So that was that definitely had to make the Warriors really upset. I felt bad for him because he got injured in this series already, and I know he wasn't like in full health. So seeing him get injured, and then later on it was revealed that he tore his ACL. So that's another ACL injury in this same series on one team. Even if Warriors forced to game 7, they probably would have lost anyway. So yeah, it really sucks. Um, but yeah, back to the game. The Warriors did a good job keeping it close, but Van Vliet in the clutch. Van Vliet, I mean, he showed up tonight. I think he finished with like 22. I don't remember his 3-point percentages, but he made a 3-pointer to take the lead, and just before that, he made a 3-pointer to tie the game. So Van Vliet, he showed up today, but yeah, Van Vliet did what he did. The Raptors were up. They were up by 1, and the Raps got possession. But when they threw it in, I forgot who threw it in, but someone threw it in to Kawhi. Kawhi took it up. He got double teamed. He passed it to Danny Green. Danny Green was over the half court line, so all he had to do was just hold the ball. But then he tried to force a pass to Siakam, and he ended up throwing it out of bounds. Like that was frustrating, man. I mean, all he had to do was just hold on to it. There were no time limits to how long he could hold on to the ball. Now, I don't know his free throw percentages, but I feel like he's a pretty good free throw shooter. Like, I just don't get his mindset about that. I just don't get it. It was just so stupid at the time, and it's stupid now, but yeah, he turned it over, and the Warriors had a shot. They were down 1. The score was 111 to 110, so they had a shot. I don't like that Curry had pretty much an open shot to the basket. I mean, there were 2 Raptors like on the side of him, but they weren't really contesting anything. They were just there. So, yeah, Curry had a free shot. He took the 3-pointer, but he missed it. Kawhi tipped it out. He tipped it out to the half-court line. Draymond got the ball and called a timeout, but the Warriors didn't have any timeouts left. So, that was a technical. And that meant that the Raptors would be shooting a free throw, and they would retain possession. So, yeah, that was the game, man. That was really intense. Like, that was I haven't really felt that tense about a basketball game since that Duke versus UCF game a few months ago. Like that was crazy, man. The Raptors should have put it away early, but overall, I'm glad that they won. I'm glad that Kawhi sunk the free throws, and I'm glad that Toronto is a city of champions for the first time in franchise history. It kind of sucks that the Warriors wasn't at full health. Like, it sucks that they didn't at least have Clay. Yeah, it kind of sucked that the Warriors weren't at full health for this finals, but at the end of the day, the Raptors played who was in front of them. So, I mean, it sucks that we didn't get to see two juggernauts at their full strength slugging it out for the finals, but at the same time, I'm just glad somebody else is a champion now. I'm glad that it happened to Toronto. I mean, only God knows how much turmoil they went through. I mean, eh, they've just, if they had blown this 3-1 series lead, that nobody would forget about this. But yeah, they got it done. But that's pretty much all my thoughts on the finals. It was a very fun finals. By far the best one we've had in years, and hooray to basketball being entertaining again. Sorry this video came out a lot later than it needed to. To be frank, I've just been really lazy about getting this video done. I should have had this video done weeks ago, but it just didn't turn out that way. So I had some important things in my life going on, but honestly, this video could have came out a lot sooner. I could have been a lot more diligent with this. So yeah, just want to apologize for that and thank everybody who's actually listening to this late video about the NBA Finals. I wouldn't feel right just leaving this video, just leaving the just starting the series and then not finishing it with the final game. So yeah, I just feel I wouldn't really feel that right after doing that. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go edit this video now and get this up. But until next time, Brownbag signing out. Thanks for watching, guys. Football content on the way.